The purpose of this video is to try and give you a good idea of what you should include in a dissertation proposal. Now, this video will cover a number of elements. It will look at the proposed focus or topic of the dissertation. It will ask you to think about the topic relevant literature, and it will also ask you to think about the structure of your dissertation, how you want it to look, how you want to be able to investigate your topic physically in the finished article. It'll also touch briefly on the notion of a bibliography as well, because I think that's really important to include as well. So the first thing to say about the dissertation proposal is that it is the module assessment, and like any other module assessment, it needs time, it needs thought, and it needs reflection. You will need to pass this in order to begin your dissertation, in order to finish your master's. So it really is an important piece of work. If you have any questions at all during the process of writing the dissertation proposal, then you need to contact your dissertation supervisor or the module tutor. There is lots of help on hand, but you need to be able to access that help, and we can't help you unless you ask us the questions. You will see when you look at the dissertation proposal form that at the top you are asked to give your name and start date and the dissertation proposed question. Now that's a working question. There's one thing I need to say about this, which is that when you have your dissertation form signed off and your supervisor says, right, okay, you can now start your dissertation research, the topic area remains set. So whatever you decide to focus on, to investigate, that is what you will do over the next 6 to 9 months of your MA. The focus, the angle, the approach you take to that topic may change and develop as you further investigate your area. That's fine, that's normal, that's what we'd expect in research. But what you won't be able to do is at any point go back to your dissertation supervisor and say, I want to change the topic. That stays set. That's part of the assessment. So we need to be very clear about that from the beginning. So the first substantive bit of the dissertation proposal form is the topic that you want to investigate. This isn't something that you can do in 5 minutes. This is probably something you've been thinking about over the course of your master's studies. And it's certainly something that you need to take time to write out, to sit down, to think, to reflect, and to read around. Now, we are suggesting that you aim towards a dissertation proposal of about 1,500 words, and this section should be approximately 500 words or so. So it's not something you can quickly dash off. It's something that needs thought and conversation. You will get a chance to go through a peer review exercise of a draft proposal form, and that's fine. But for the final piece, what you're seeking to do is to convey what your topic is, why you're interested in, and why it's important that you study this topic to your proposed dissertation supervisor. That's not quite as simple as it sounds, because you may have an innate interest in, for instance, policy transfer. But you need to decide what it is about policy transfer that interests you. Is it the impact that globalization has had on policy transfer, and it's made policy transfer more relevant and more commonplace? Is it the nature of policy transfer itself? Is it the way in which external organisations impose transfer on nation states? So it's thinking through what it is within the broad topic area that you're interested in. And you need to be able to convey that in clear and concise language. Part of the way you're going to arrive at your finished proposed focus is through the amount of reading that you have done over the course of your master's studies, but also in preparation for this assessment object. So you need to spend some time doing some background reading to be firm in your decision of what your proposed focuses be. Now, I said earlier on, there will be a dissertation question, and that's a working question, but you can't arrive at that question until you've thought through your focus, until you've done some background reading, and you've made clear decisions as how you want to proceed. So doing the research, the preliminary literature review, if you like, is very, very important at this stage. You will only be required to submit this at the end of the dissertation workshop. So you have time to do this. And I suggest that what you want to do is use your search, use the journal articles, use the core reading list and the additional reading list in the modules that you want to draw on. That will give you the core reading list, the starter pack, if you like, of the literature that you want to engage in and build upon when you begin your dissertation research proper in the summer term and through to September submission. So when thinking about your topic relevant literature, what you're asked to do is think about the modules that you've already studied. Think about the frameworks, the theoretical material, the conceptual tools that you've been exposed to, that you've investigated already, that has resonance for you, that helps you investigate and unpack the topic that you're interested in. So if we go back to the idea of using policy transfer, for instance, from the globalization literature, you want to look at elements of how external organisations have had an impact on nation states. And there's relevant literature within the globalization module. You want to look at notions of competition states, so you want to look at Philip Kearney's work. You want to look at Dolowitz and Marsh, obviously, because they talk about policy transfer and give us a nice policy transfer framework. But is that enough? Or do you want to investigate Diane Stone's work on bandwagoning and policy learning? So this is drawing on two particular modules. It's looking at globalization and social policy analysis. That's a foundation that will help you begin to think about your topic-specific literature and the types of theoretical frameworks that you want to engage in. And again, for this particular section of the paper, you will have about 500 words. So you need to be able to say what it is that you want to use, what are the theories, what are the authors that you think are important to your topic, and you want to say a little bit about how you intend to use those. Remember, this isn't set in stone. It just gives you an idea and an opportunity to think through what it is that you want to do, and it gives your proposed dissertation supervisor a good idea of what it is you're going to do and how you're going to achieve it. So this is a really important part of the process, and again, it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some thought. So the next section of the dissertation proposal form is the proposed structure, how you want your dissertation to look like when you finally finished it. And this is important because it gives you a structure to work to. It also tells your reader what to expect when they read your dissertation, and it also helps your dissertation supervisor examine what it is you're trying to achieve in each part, each chapter, each section of your dissertation. Now, in some of your module assignments, you may have used a 5-part structure, which looks at the introduction, the literature review, the case study, the analysis, and the conclusion. That's fine as an overarching structure, but this is a much longer piece of work. And so within those, you would want to use subsections or subchapters. So within each of your subsections, what you want to do is tell your dissertation supervisor what it is each of those sections will do. What will they contribute towards the whole dissertation? How will they tell the story of your topic? And how will they help you explore your dissertation question? The last bit I want to talk about is the bibliography. In this section, what you want to do is provide your dissertation supervisor with a range of core pieces of literature, core authors, core theoretical approaches. Okay? These could be drawn from the modules, or they could be coming from your own research that you've done as part of this process of writing a dissertation proposal form. I'm often asked how many people should include in bibliography, and that's a bit of a length of string question. There's no real answer to this. But I would expect in a piece of this length, of this detail, that you'd be wanting to look at somewhere between 15 to 25 pieces of literature. We're not asking you for you to précis them, but it gives your supervisor a good idea of where the foundations of your analysis will come from. And they may be able to help you and point you in the direction of further literature that may help you further research your topic. So as I said at the beginning, this is an important piece of work. The dissertation proposal form is the assessment for the dissertation workshop. So it needs some time, it needs some thought, and it needs some work. You need to be clear that the topic that you're going to investigate is going to keep you occupied and keep you interested for somewhere between 6 or 9 months of your work. You want to enjoy this. This is the final part of your MA. You want to come out with a dissertation that you're proud of. So take some time, give it some thought, and if you're in doubt, ask the module tutor or your supervisor for some support.